Isai, good morning, Rabbi Isai, for real. It's so good to be back in Eretz Yisrael. It's beautiful here. Beautiful weather. It's light outside. It's morning. It's really morning here in the Holy Land. Bemis, I'm so excited to be back. Today's shir, sponsored by Kalman from Five Towns. In the schos of Menachem Mendel ben Simcha in honor of President Trump winning the election, Bezrat Hashem, and Rebelli coming home safely to Eretz Yisrael. Thank you, Reb Kalman. He also wants the Olam to know, I didn't have time to print it out. I'm sorry, Kalman, I apologize. He has a new endeavor. He's working on this thing called, will you be the next Minyan Man? If people need minyanim in Beis Avilim, or they're just missing one or two people in their backyard minyan, whatever, he has a site. I forgot what it is. We'll have to post it. I'll have to talk about it this time. Rabbi Isai, today we have a very, very exciting daf. I didn't count. I have at least 20 different charts and pictures. I want to show you just one. Instead of reading an email, David Brandis from South Bend sent this one to me. I like it a lot. Here he is, learning Torah and trying to control the Yetzer Hara at the same time. Very difficult. You need to concentrate when you learn Torah. I'm not promoting learning Torah and watching the news, but if you can't, if you push it, you have to see what's going on. If you have to watch the Super Bowl, you have to watch the elections. It's better than not learning at all. So you have some Torah on the side. All right. Today is Daf Pei Zayin. It's less than 20 days to the end of the Masechta, and we have tremendous plans for the Siyum, of course. I have no idea what they are because I wasn't involved, but I'm sure no one has it all set up and ready to go. So here we go. I have a normal table, some chairs. I don't have my pink chair anymore. I apologize to the Olam. Just regular chairs now. And here we go. Is everything good? Is Zoom good? Is YouTube? I have no idea. Okay, great. Omar Rabba. We are holding 5 lines from the bottom of Pevav Amud Beis. I actually, when I came back, I was so excited. I saw Avi Mandelbaum on the plane with his whole family. I even saw Mayor Sherman sneak off the plane. So 2 guys from the shir. By the way, a guy from Stam, real quickly, a guy from Chicago, I found it later, the whole section was empty. So I got a nice seat by the window. Before the flight, I go on my app and I see the whole section is empty. Some guy sits next to me. So I decided, okay, I'm going to get out of there. So I go to another section. I had the entire business section, I can tell you, for myself. Until 5 minutes before takeoff, a family with 4 children sat down right next to me. The entire flight. Because Baruch has his ways. And if Baruch decides that we should be socialist and the country's going a socialist way, it's all men Hashemayim. There's nothing to do. It's Gzeres Hashem. But it's looking good. Rabbi says it's looking good. And I know there are people that are watching that think that I'm a shegitz. Okay. Are we good, Gershon? Kemat? Okay. Says the Gemara. Omer Rabbi Yehuda Rav Chananya ben Akavia Omru Dover Echad. So yesterday we discussed a well of water in smack in the middle of 2 chatzeros, and they built a wall. This wall has nothing to do with the well. They built it to separate the 2 chatzeros. It's not there to separate the water. Nevertheless, Rabbi Yehuda says that this wall acts as a mechitza dividing the water. You don't have to build any additional walls at all. Says the Gemara, this Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Chanani ben Akavia Amru Davar Echad. So what does that mean? We'll see in a second. And what's beautiful about today's daf is that we're very familiar with all the sugyas. This Rabbi Chanani ben Akavia, we're going to have again on Amud Beis, as if we never had him. That's the makar of this Rabbi Chanani ben Akavia. The Sanya. Rabbi Chananya ben Akavia oimer gezutra sheyesh bo 4 amos al 4 amos choykik bo dalid al dalid umemale. It goes as follows. picture number 1. If you have a balcony, that's 4 amas by 4 amas. How much is 4 amas? Each amma has 6 tfachim. 4 times 6 equals 24 tfachim. I need 24 on 24. All I do is I make a hole in the center. Let me show you Rabbi Sai, arts and crafts to its fullest extent. Ooh, Rabbi Yeshua's here. Oh, those are my, got it. Shkoyach Rabbi Yeshua. We are trying to build, yes.
Zoom is coming in very blurry.
No, so what do you want me to do?
Are they both the same network?
Probably.
You should use Eli Stefansky's device.
I know. I asked Shkoyach, I have already water. Shkoyach, I asked Gary last night, should I go on another network? Not necessary, he tells me. Not necessary. The boys say, we're trying to build, this is your porch. And we want to get a 4x4 tefach shaft made out of whatever wood, 10 tefachim tall. What do we do? Says the Gemara, look at this. You make a hole in the center, just as so. I don't want to show you the back, but you make a hole. And you pretend that you bend the wood like that hole. So what's going on here? Let me show you real quickly. You see what we're trying to do? We're trying to get this guy. Let me remove it nicely. Let me do this live. We're trying to build one of these imaginary. Doesn't exist. All you have is a porch with a hole. So what do is, very simple. You go like this. You bend it. You start bending pieces. Okay? You bend it this way. You bend it this way. I hope I don't break this. This is live. I didn't try this before. You bend it. You keep on bending. Okay? All fake. All in your head. You're bending in your head. Koifefim, look at this. It's a beauty. What do you have? You have a porch like this. And now it has this guy. Unbelievable. You see what's going on here? You created, so now, in order to create this, each piece has to be 10 tefachim. So 10 plus 10, each wall is 10 tefachim, 10 plus 10 is 20, and the hole itself is 4. So that's why from here to here is 24, and from here to here is 24. Again, this wall right over here is 10, this wall right over here is 10, and this hole is 4. It wasn't built to scale. I love it. I could sit here and look at my device here forever. Next. V'dilma loihi. Yes.
He did not mention the second sponsor.
Ooh, thank you. We got to go back. You see? Jet lag. I only did sleep a few hours. Second sponsor, Joel Silberstein, on occasion of the yahrzeit of my late father, David Gershon Ben Azriel, 17 Cheshvan, 5774. I put the Hebrew, I hope it was his father. I think it said his father. All right. I hope that's your last question, Menachem, and you don't have any good kashas on this daf. V'dilma loihi, says Abayu, what's the connection? Again, Nachamal, the Gemara loves doing this, and it's a great talent to be able to do this in real life and business and all sorts of things. To take two things and say why are they different? So why is this different? In this case of Rabbi Yehuda, he's doing one thing. He's taking this wall, he's going downwards, but he's not bending anything. He's not pretending to bend. Avakaif, the good, to bend and create a wall. Create this out of your imagination. And then say it should go all the way down to the water. Good achis mechitzah, that's 2 pretendings. We don't do 2 pretendings. One good achis mechitzah, one going down to the water, okay. But to bend and go down, that's crazy. Or, let's do the reverse, says Abai. As the Gemara in Amud Beis is going to say, that's in the Kinneret, as we call today the Kinneret. The ocean of Tveria. Why is Tveria different than all other waters? It has banks on the shore, and it has houses everywhere. Vikarfifiyos, and a karfaf is like these open areas that we say you use it to store wood, to saw, whatever. So the water is a Carmelis. All around the Carmelis, we have beautiful houses. Once you have all these houses and the banks and all this stuff, then we can make a special leniency in Tveria only, not on a regular giant ocean or lake. And we say the whole problem is that somebody might come to carry from Rishus HaYachid, from Tveria, into Rishus HaRabim, like a Carmelis, that doesn't exist, because I already have these walls. Typically, we have to be concerned that you might carry from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim, but over here, nobody's going to confuse it. Okay. So it has a little bit of a tikkun. It has these little houses, not the biggest thing in the world, and the whole Carmelis is the Rabbanah to begin with. So they were matter it only in Tveria, but you, Rabbi Yehuda, you're talking about not Tveria. So Memela, it doesn't apply. Rabbi Hananiah's halacha doesn't apply. Omar Abaya. Let's continue with this bending stuff. I have a picture. You have a balcony that extends out of the wall. 3 tfachim, you see, it's on these 2 poles. Here's a pole, and here's 3 tfachim. It's away from the wall by 3 tfachim. What do I want to do? I want to create a device like this. You see this device? It's like a 3-walled shaft. If I move it away from the wall, 3 tefachim, and this side is 1 tefach plus the 3 tefachim of ear of lavud equals 4 tefachim. So I have a shaft that's 4 tefachim by 4 tefachim and 10 tefachim long. Says the Gemara, it has to be, sorry. We're talking about something else now. So, I have also a very rudimentary thing. Basically, what we're doing is, here's your flat porch, balcony, and once again, you're going to cut out just a little bit over here. Now this is up against the wall. Yeah, this is against the wall. So now I just created a wall in my imagination that's 10 tefachim deep. Right over here is 1 tefach throughout the whole thing. That's why I need this to be 11 tefachim wide, because I'm using 10 tefachim for this guy, plus 1 tefach over here. It's great to see you, Reb Naftali Ritchel. And now look what I do. I take these guys on the side, and I fold it downwards. Could you see what I'm doing here? So now I have a shaft. Yichap. I take this piece and I fold it this way, fold it, and now I just created this. This fits right over here. Okay. If you want to see it in the picture, it might be easier in the picture, all this arts and crafts. Here's the picture. I just snipped over here in my imagination, flipped it downwards. The problem is this only gives me 1 board, the snip, so I need to take from the side. I need to take over here and pull it down. Yeah? Understood? I hope the Olam understands. I can't see if anybody understands. Noam, it's okay? Okay. So tzarich sheyeh ba'arka dalet amas. It has to be 24 amas. I'm hearing myself from Gershon. Yishkoyach Gershon, I appreciate it. That means Zoom is working. Why? Because once you snip down 10 tefachim for a wall, you need that extra tefach to create the other 2 walls. You're making 2 walls out of 1 tefach. These guys, once again, you're snipping down and going to the side. Okay, I don't know what you guys see. I see it perfectly. Hoysa skufa. What if, where's my guy? Okay, thank you. What if you have a piece of wood, not flat like a balcony, standing up against your wall, skufa? Then what? Tzorch shia gova asar tefachim. Great, you have a 10 tefach height. V'rachava shisha tefachim u'shnei mashuyin. You need it to be 6 tefach wide. Why? Because you need the wall to be 4 tefach in the middle. And then you fold over 1 tefach on each side. That's a total of 6. Shnei mashuyin just means that because I'm folding, I'm going to lose a little bit on the fold. So I give it a little extra, and now I have a nice little shaft. And I pull this away from the wall, 3 tefachim, and I have 4 by 4. Omer Abu Bereder Yeshua. Hoy sorry medis bekeren zavis. Here, you want to see this in a picture? You can see it in a picture. If your flat board is up against the wall, it's pulled away. You see over here, it's on these pegs, pulled away 3 tefachim. I imagine a fold. Imaginary 1 tefach fold, 1 tefach fold. 1 tefach plus the 3 tefachim of lavet equals 4. And the board is 4 tefachim wide this way. It's 6 tefachim, but I just lost the tefach on each side. So I'm left with 4 tefachim on the width and 4 tefachim on the other width, and together it's 4 by 4. Now, what if I'm in a corner of a house? So all I need is a 2 tefach piece of wood, extended away from the wall 3 tefachim. It's away from the wall 3 tefachim. What does this give me? I fill in the gap, the 3 tefach gap I fill in. And the 2 tefach piece of wood, I fold in half. I bend in half. And I have a nice corner that looks like this. And so this piece of wood is basically 5 tefachim off the wall. 3 plus 2 with an imaginary bend, which also goes 3 tefachim. After the imaginary bend, I have 3 open tefachim. So I have lavet plus an imaginary bend that gives me 4 by 4 shaft in the corner of the building. So the 2 walls of the building and this 2 by 2, everything is great. As the Gemara, if I'm using walls of the house, it has to be 24 by 24. Check out this piece of wood over here. This piece of wood is 10 tefachim long and 2 tefachim wide. Where did Reb Chanan get the 24 tefachim width? If I'm using the walls of the house, why can't I just use a much smaller piece of wood? Says the Gemara, the problem is, he's talking about a specific case that the wood is built on a platform. It's away from the walls. The answer is there's no walls. The kitzer, it's a house without walls. So I want to do my little, the first arts and crafts project of building this shaft in the middle of nowhere. Then I need a giant 24 by 24, 4 amas by 4 amas in order to build all these imaginary bending walls from all 4 sides. If there's a wall of a house, I don't need 4 sides. Then all I need is 1 side, 2 sides, whatever it is. But why do I need 4 sides? 4 sides because it's an independent structure. Says the Eli Mishnah. Oh, we're holding by Mishnah. First of all, Akiva Solway. I want to give a tremendous shout out to our very, very chashuv bacher, Moshe Apter. He got into yeshiva, and his father left me a message yesterday that even though he's in yeshiva and he works extremely hard from morning to evening, he still finds time to listen to the shir. We miss you very much, Moshe Apter. Tremendous hatzlacha in yeshiva. Says the Mishnah, Amas ha'amayim shi'oy veres b'chotzer. Beautiful situation where you have a canal, some sort of water running right through your chotzer. Now water is a carmelis, typically, depends the size. So you're not allowed to draw water from the canal. You cannot draw water from it on Shabbos. Elohim kein asulo mechitzo gavoya asaro tfachim. Bakniso uba yitzio. So this wall that runs across my chutzner doesn't do anything for me. Why? I didn't build it for the water. I built it to separate my house from my neighbors. So in order for me to draw water, I need to show, I have to make a mechitza that's nicker, that's obvious that I built this mechitza. And as you see in this picture, there's a little extension coming out of the bottom, 10 tefachim deep. I don't care, touching the water, not touching the water at this point like we had yesterday. At the end of the day, I built this mechitza to show that I want to draw water. I'm enclosing it from both sides. It's a great job. On both sides, Bakniso by Yitzia, Rabbi Yehuda Omer. No, Rabbi Yehuda goes l'shitasai. They said in the other Mishnah, Koisel shal gaba, this wall that runs across my yard, Tidoi mishum mechitza, that's enough for me. I don't need any other mechitzas. I do a good aches, this wall goes down into the water. Yes, you didn't build it for that, but today I want to use it as good aches. It's fine. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Maiso Ba'ama, there was a story with a canal of water, Shel Ovel, in a city called Ovel. They used to draw water for it from it on Shabbos. Amrulai. So what kind of raya is it? He says, look, they used to draw water. You know why they allowed to draw water without any mechitzais? Because that canal didn't have the necessary measurement, as we're going to see in the Brisa what the measurements are in a second. So a carmelis, we know 4 tfachim. Okay, 4 tfachim, 10 deep. We'll see. Ton Rabbanon, asula baknisa v'lo asula b'yitzia. Here it goes. Basically, word for word that we just learned. Brisa repeats itself with a little explanation. Repeats the Mishnah. If I created a mechitza on one of the two sides, baknisa v'lo asula b'yitzia, asula b'yitzia v'lo asula baknisa, or the other side, ein memalim of Shabbos, I can't draw water from it on Shabbos. Elohim kain, asula mechitza asara tfachim b'yitzia u'baknisa. Now I showed that it's self-contained. So I'm trying to contain this moving, flowing water. Obviously I'm not, but I'm showing some sort of hecker that I'm containing it from both sides. Rabbi Yehuda says that this wall that I built just to separate the two chatzeros, that's enough. Here, same thing as in the Mishnah, just a little bit more. It tells you from where. It's going from Ovel all into Tzipori, Alpi Haskenim, and they drew water from it without any mechitzos. Amrulai. It wasn't deep 10 tfachim and it wasn't wide 4 tfachim. So in Mela, it's not a true carmelis, then it grabs the name of whatever Rishus it's in. For instance, Rashi says, if this same water that's not 4 was running through Rishus HaRabim, it would be considered Rishus HaRabim. Right now it's running through Rishus HaYachid, it's considered Rishus HaYachid. But if it has the right measurements, it's 4 tfachim wide, 10 tfachim deep, then it turns into a carmelis running through my Rishus. I have no permission to draw water from a carmelis and bring it into my Rishus HaYachid. Tanya Idach. Another thing we learned. Amas hamayim moivers bein hachaloynos. Pachos mishloisha. So let's say, again, same idea. Here's some windows, and there's water going right by the window. I want to draw water, right? Imagine, you live in a time, there's no running water. I need it for the bathroom, I need it for cooking, I need it for drinking while it's Shabbos, not so much cooking. What do? I want to draw water. Says the Gemara, says the Brisa, Pachos mishloisha, less than 3 tfachim. Now, we're going to see in the Gemara what this means. There's at least 3 shitas. What 3 tfachim means? 3 tfachim from where? From the window, from the water, what's 3 tfachim? There's no explanation right now. Pachos mishloisha, less than 3. Mishal shadli umala, just like in this picture, he takes a pail out his window and draws water. Gimel, if it's 3. Mishal shadli umala. Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer, Pachos mishloisha mishal shadli umala. Arba, Pachos medalad mishal shadli umala. It's 4 tfachim, not 3 tfachim. Now, if you recall the famous machlokes we had in the beginning of Masechta between Reb Shimon Gamliel and Chachamim, how much is Lavid? Is Lavid 3 tfachim? Is Lavid 4? The Gemara ignores this machlokes for now. The Gemara assumes it's a different machlokes here. So Reb Shimon Gamliel says it's dependent on 4 tfachim. Mishal shadli umala. Once it's 4 tfachim, you cannot draw water. What are we talking about here? If we're talking about the width of the water, that the water is 3 tfachim from here to here, 4 tfachim. Now, what's interesting is we're going to have 3 famous sayings from Rabbi Yochanan that we learned. One of them is the carmelis has to be 4 tfachim. Does this fit into that, Rabbi Yochanan? The other one is the famous Rabbi Yochanan that we had 4 or 5 times already, of if there's a less than 4 tfachim in the middle of Rishus Harabim, it's a makom tur, I could unload, I could readjust my load. And finally, we had the halacha about 10 days ago about a wall that runs through 2 chatzeres, it's 4 tfachim wide, fruit on top, could you eat from the fruit, not eat from the fruit? How do these 3 Rabbi Yochanans fit in with this brisa? Says the Gemara, so if you're telling me that the water, we're dealing with water, 3 tfachim, 4 tfachim, velaha ki asar Rav Dimi Yomi Eruvin ein karmelis b'chusim marba. Rav Dimi said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, a karmelis has to be 4 tfachim wide. What? There's machloikis tanoim if a karmelis is 3 tfachim. That's what's going on here. It says pachas mishalosh, but more than shalish not. Why? Because a karmelis is even 3 tfachim. Rabbi Yochanan says it like as if nobody's arguing. 4 tfachim, nobody argues. Who's arguing? Elo bagafeu lahachlif. Oh, agafeu is the banks of the river, of this canal, and the shaila is very interesting shaila, similar to what we had the other day with you have a makom patur in the Rishus Harabim, take off your hat, that picture with the hat, I'll show it in a second. Over here also, can I draw water from the canal with a trick? What's my trick? I'm going to take the pail, put it on the bank. The bank is less than 3 tfachim, it's a makom patur. Then I take it from the bank, put it in the karmelis. You're allowed to go from a makom patur to a karmelis. Then I go from the karmelis back to the bank, not the bank where you put money, the bank of the lip over here, and from there back into the house. Great trick. Now you're going to ask me, but we said by a hat you can't do it. You can't put it on a makom patur in Rishus Harabim. Okay, so the Gemara is going to deal with that. Says the Gemara, Elo bagapel, on the bank of the river, ulahachlif, and could I do a trick and switch, go from the house, from Rishus Hayachah to the Karmelis and back, by using this in between Rishus called a makom patur? The famous case that we had at least 4 times in this Masechta. This guy's in Rishus Hayachah, this guy's in Rishus Harabim, and there's a little pole sticking out here that's less than 4 by 4 tfachim, so we call this a makom patur, and we always said the guy in Rishus Harabim could put his stuff down here. The guy in Rishus Hayachah could put his stuff down here. But you cannot transfer from Rishus Harabim to Rishus Hayachah. Don't make a trick. So how come over here we could do the trickery? Says the Gemara. You're not allowed to do the trick. Says the Gemara, very, very simple. When we're talking about Rishus Hayachah to Rishus Harabim, you can't do that trick because you're going from Rishus D'Oraisa to Rishus D'Oraisa. Rishus Hayachah to Rishus Harabim D'Oraisa. Over here, we are talking about a Rabbanan Rishus, a Karmelis, and therefore I could do trickery. Now, what's very, very interesting, Rashi points this out, is that over here we're talking about less than 4 tfachim. And what about our sugi? We're talking about less than 3 tfachim. What's going on here? So Rashi says, amazing, unbelievable yesod. If you want to see, it's the bottom Rashi. The Rashi says that when it comes to Rishus D'Oraisa, then I'm not mevatel. Then a larger Rishus doesn't become batal. But when we're talking about Rishus D'Rabbanan, I could be mevatel, like it becomes batal to what I'm doing, even a smaller Rishus. Fine. In a Karmelis, okay, says the Gemara, and now, we're turning to Daf Yomi Amud Beis. Rishus is the Rabbanon, but over here by a Karmelis, it's a Rishus the Rabbanon, and therefore I could do a trick. I could take my pail out of my house, Rishus Hayachah, put it on the bank, and stop, and then go from the bank and put it in the water, draw water, and then put it back on the bank. And then from the bank, put it into my house. We just turned to that Tehilim Amud Beis, sponsored by Dr. Alan Listhouse in memory of his mother, Shendel Bas, Aaron Hirsch, and Bracha, and sponsored by the Austin and Tobias grandchildren, and children, I think, as well. The Nishmas are Babi Zissel Bas Chaim, The neshama should have an aliyah. Ask the Gemara. You're telling me you're making a distinction between a derabbanon and a d'oraisa. Then in the rabbanon you could switch rishuyos, you could do tricks. Even in the derabbanon, Rabbi Yochanan said you're not allowed to switch rishuyos. By the way, I'm using this beautiful tile. It's a cup coaster that I got from Rabbi Farkovich from Farakaway. Beautiful stuff. You think he gave me one? No, he's the guy that gave the that came up with those magnets for the cars as well. I got two of them. One for the coffee, one for the water. Shkoyach. The Sanyo, Rabbi say Davin, that my partner Benzi Friedman and my very good friend Louis Cohen will fly to Eretz Yisrael soon. They, like last time that Trump won, they flew to Eretz Yisrael for a few days. Stayed by me, spent Shabbos, Bezer Hashem, can't wait. He's coming up, Louis is coming up with all sorts of tricks. If Tehilim has any good ideas, the best trick is to have a grandchild, because one of my good friends was on the flight also, he had a grandchild, you could get in and out, no problem if you have a grandchild. No corona, no bidud, nothing. So we have to invent something. Zok the Gemara, he has to work quickly. Remember, we just had this 10 days ago. Here's the wall. I showed you Yoni's picture. I liked it a lot, even though it wasn't colorful, but it's beautiful. Here's two guys eating fruit on this wall. The wall is 4 tfachim. We're going to have it extensively in a second. If there's a wall that's 10 tfachim tall and 4 tfachim wide, now, as we mentioned over there, it doesn't have to be 4 tfachim wide for this halacha right here. A wall that separates two chatzeres, obviously, they don't combine. There's a great mechitza between them. How wide does a wall have to be in order to separate a mechitza? It could be the size of a pin. If it's made out of metal, it's a strong mechitza, there's no shear to it. There's a mechitza. So why does it say 4 tfachim for the next halacha? If on top of it there were fruit, like in this picture, this guy jumps onto a ladder, eats, and then the other guy eats. What if there's a breach in the wall? Ad eser amos, like this picture right over here. There's a nice breach in the wall. A breach in the wall, we said, is considered a petach. It's just an opening up until 10 amos, 20 feet. Ma'arvim shnayim, then you could be ma'arv nifras. Ma'arvim shnayim v'mratzu ma'arvim echad. You could go both ways. You could say there's a doorway and therefore it's one, or you could say it's separated. Look, there used to be a wall there. Shukah pesach, it's like a door. Yosim Rikan, we're just going through that whole sugi to get to the question. Yosim Rikan, more than 10 amos, ma'arvim echad ve'ma'arvim shnayim. If the breach is more than 10 amos, then you can't say, oh, there used to be a wall there. Right now it's wide open to each other. It's one eruv only. We ask the question, what if the top of the wall is less than 4 tfachim wide, like these guys over here don't have a very wide area to eat? Says Rav, since both chatzeros control the top of the wall, then if you move even a hair breadth of food, you move it 1 iota, you were metaltal from one rishus to the other because both rishuyos, both chatzeres, control the top of the wall. It's not a problem at all. I can take my food, bring it, put it on top of the wall. You can bring yours. Why? Because he holds because of the famous case of putting your hat down in the middle of a makam p'tur, middle of rishus rabbim. We just brought a raya, pay attention. We brought a raya from Rav Dimi in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. From where? From a case of a da'iraisa. From a case of going from Rishus HaYachid and putting your hat or whatever you want onto that pole. I say hat because that's the picture over here. Where's that picture again? This famous case. I'm going from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabbin. So that's a da'iraisa. I'm bringing a raya from a da'iraisa to Rabbi Yochanan that's talking about a case of the Rabbanan. Obviously, there's no difference between a da'iraisa and the Rabbanan. Why would the Gemara bring a raya from a da'iraisa case? Be careful that you shouldn't switch it around. Says the Gemara, Ahi, this case of the wall, that you're not going to go from side to side. Ziri. Ahi, Ziri Amara. Oh, that is Ziri. So, okay, he Taka holds that you're not allowed to. Our Rav Dimi holds it's mutter to go from one area to another if it's the Rabbanon, like in our case of water, which is a caramelist, you're allowed to go from side to side. Now, ulaziri kashiha. But what are we going to do about this question that we just asked from here? If we're saying pshat in the brises, what's 3 tvachim? Whoa, what's 3 tvachim? We said it can't be the water is 3 tvachim because water there's no machlokes if a caramelist is 3 tvachim and 4 tvachim. Rabbi Yochanan says it's 4 tvachim. So where did this whole machlokes of 3 tvachim come? Oh, 3 tvachim must be the bank, this grass area over here. But the grass area, you're allowed to switch. You're allowed to do a trick from here to there. But according to Ziri, you're not allowed to do a trick. According to Ziri, there's no nafkamina between the Rabban and the Raisa. There's no tricks. This case and this case are equal. Going from Rishus HaRabban to Rishus HaYachid and going from your house to the bank, which is the Rabbanon, is also asur. So what's Ziri going to do? Says the Gemara, Ziri makim labamas hamayim gufo. No, he's going to go back to the first pshat. We're talking about this. And there's a machlokes. Is the water here, if three tvachim, according to Rabbanan, is a caramelist? Rabbi Yochanan said a caramelist is 4 tvachim. There's a machlokes in it. We thought it's so simple, nobody argues. And that's why we said, whoa, there's an argument? Yeah, according to Ziri, he's going to have to be doichek a little bit and say, there's in fact a machlokes, Tanaim, if a caramelist is 4 tvachim wide, or a caramelist is 3 tvachim wide. We didn't like that so much, that's why we said we're talking about the grass. But Ziri doesn't have a brayer right now. V'Rav Dimi Tanoi. As the Gemara, so Ziri Mokim, I don't want to skip any words, Chaz V'Shalom. Ziri Mokim lo ba'amas hamayim gufa, V'Rav Dimi Tanoi. Okay. V'Tehevi, as the Gemara, but any of this water that comes into this area right here, where did it start from? It started from a giant lake. It started from the Kinneret, let's say. Okay, the Kinneret is a caramelist. So right now it got very narrow to 3 tvachim, less than 3 tvachim, less than 4 tvachim. At the end of the day, with the heavy kichayret caramelist, why is it not like the holes? If we had in Masechta Shabbos, if I take something and I throw it against the wall and it lands inside a hole in a wall, we consider it a Rishus HaYachid, let's say, or Rishus HaRabban. So the whole of the wall is like that Rishus. So over here also, since it started out from a caramelist, from the Kinneret, so right now it ended up here, it's like a hole from the Kinneret, and the Kinneret is a caramelist. Says the Gemara, that's a chumrah in a doiraisa, like a Rishus HaRabban, but over here we're talking about a caramelist. We don't have these kind of things. Once it narrows down, the canal narrows down to less than 3 tvachim, it's no longer a caramelist. Right? Because the whole issue of caramelist is the Rabbanon, so they weren't machmir on the chayr of a caramelist. Rav Ashi Amar afilu temi yesh chayr l'caramelist, even if you hold that we have to say it's like a deraisa kind of thing, and there is a chayr l'caramelist. Hanamili b'smucha. Check it out. The Gemara's question is that this right over here, look at this large body of water, it's a caramelist, and now it narrows down, it should continue to be a caramelist. So the Gemara, no, but it's far away. It's more than 4 tvachim away or whatever, and therefore it's not considered a chayr. Just because 10 miles down the road it was a caramelist, so it should remain a caramelist forever? There's a limit. All right. Ravina, so now we had 2 tirutzim. What's Pshat Gimel? Where does 3 tefachim come? So we have one Pshat that it's talking about the water, the width of the water, if it's more than 3, it becomes a caramelist, or it's talking about the grass. Now if you think to yourself, think for a second, try to be an Amoira. Let's go back. Perhaps the first thing that strikes everybody is maybe we're talking about a machlokes of Lavad. How could you figure out Lavad in this sugya? Where does Lavad fit in here? We're talking about a body of water and a window and what? Where's Lavad? Again, Rabbanon always say Lavud is 3 Tfachim. Rav Shimon Gamliel says Lavud is 4 Tfachim. That would be beautiful if we could fit it in. How do you fit it in? Ravina Amar going the Avid lo nifkei apuma. Oh, very interesting. He built his mechitza was made out of 2 pieces of wood, let's say. And the gap between the 2 pieces of wood is 3 Tfachim. There's a beautiful picture here from Kala. Just to show you the water coming right through the canal. And here he built 2 walls. And the distance, if it's 3 Tfachim according to Chachamim, that's Lavud. I seal it up. According to Shimon Gamliel, 4 Tfachim I seal up. Gevaldik. Now I can stick in the concept of Lavud. Rabbi Sai, we discussed this Mishnah and beautiful pictures of a balcony, and we have a shaft coming off the balcony. Here, finally, we got to the source. Daf Amud Beis. We discussed it as if we know it already, as if we learned it already. We did learn it, but we cheated. We took out of the Mishnah. Here's the original Mishnah. If you have a balcony that's above the water, and the water is considered a carmelis, and your balcony is considered Rosh Hashayachid, how could you draw water? You could only draw water from it unless you have a mechitza that's 10 tfachim. I don't have time now, we're running out of time. Taisus asked the kasha. I just want to show everybody because we learned Masechta Shabbos. Remember this picture from Masechta Shabbos? If you have a boat and you want to draw water on Shabbos, you make a little frame and you draw water. As Taisves, why don't you need 10 tfachim like our sugya? Answers Taisves, because over here in our sugya, over there we're talking about less than 10 tfachim. The Hasam Shamayim Amukim, sorry, it's 10 tfachim over there, so it changes our sugya over here. Our sugya, according to this pshat, one pshat in Taisvis, is that it's less than 10 tfachim of water. Very interesting. Second teretz he says differently. Anyway, 3 roots even says the Gemara. Just want to point it out. What does that mean? You could have an inverted box. Your box could be up like this, which actually makes more sense. Your children won't fall into the water by mistake. You have a little bit of mechitza. But over here, yes, Taisves, we learned that it has to go downwards into the bar. Over here, it's muchach that you're doing it to draw water. So it doesn't have to be in this direction. It can be in any direction because it's nicker that's what you're doing. The famous case that we had 2 balconies next to each other, side by side. They're not separated by more than 4 tfachim. You built the shaft on the upper balcony, not on the lower one. Obviously, this guy can't draw water. He doesn't have a shaft. This guy can't draw water because the lower guy shares it with the upper guy, and therefore the upper guy is also, you have to make an eruv. Says the Gemara, Mas Nisin, the famous Chananya ben Akavia that says, I take your porch and I bend it in all different shapes. Kaif, I bend, and then I do good aches, I go downwards into the water. Says the Gemara, that's not, our Mishnah can't go that way. This Chananya ben Akavia oimer. As if we didn't learn this before. Gezust Rosh Yesh Bar Arba Amos is 24 tefachim by 24 tefachim. Chaygi Bar Arba Mamal, you make a hole in the center that's 4 tefachim wide by 4 tefachim wide. And then you draw water, how? Because Rashi explains you bend it downwards imaginary. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum Rabbi ben Zimra, Lehitter Rabbi Chananya ben Akavia, Ella b'Yamashel Tveria. We had this also today. It's only because it's in the Kinneret. It has the banks of it has a shore, and has houses everywhere. The karfifiois and a karfaf. Karfaf is something that's like hukaf ledira to saw. The whole thing like makifaisaisa. That's why it surrounds the whole water. So there's no gzera that you might mistake it for Rosh Hashanah. This doesn't apply to any other water in the world. Let's do 2 more, a minute or 2. Very easy sugya. 3 things Rabbi Chananya ben Akavia allowed the people of Tveria. This is not specifically to Tveria, but he allowed to fill water if you have that shaft on your balcony. And you could bury fruit with whatever it is. Rashi says it comes from lentils or whatever, some sort of the kids are like leftover lentils. You take this, you didn't have a refrigerator, so you bury your fruit in it. And the Gemara is going to explain. We stop in balunkas, and you could use a towel on Shabbos. We just said this whole halacha. What is it talking about? Now, one of the most famous sugyas in all of Shas is the concept I should say, not sugyas, the concept of to be machshir l'kabel tumah. If you have fruit, it doesn't become tameh unless it was wet by one of the sheva mashkim. One of the sheva mashkim is dew, tal. So this psilas that you're burying your fruit with is wet from dew because you got it early in the morning. But you need to have in mind that I want that water. Do you want that water? Is it better for you for the refrigeration process, or it happens to be that you got up early in the morning and it was full of dew? What's going on here? So hishkim, if you got up really early in the morning, then it's a problem. But if you got up early in the morning that you shouldn't go to work late, then it's not a problem. So it's not machshir l'kabel tumah. Ustamanchi Tveria says the Gemara Daf Yomi Aleph. They get up early, they don't want to miss work. So Mamela, they don't need the dew. So that dew has nothing to do with their machshava, and that's why it's not mikabel tumah. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day. We should hear Psuras Toivus today. And it's great to be back in Eretz Yisrael. Thank you, Rabbi Isai. Thanks for keeping up with me. Have a wonderful day. Amen. It is. Shkoyach. How do you know it's a record? You count the visual aids? Seriously? How many were today? How many were there? No, it's not 14, Yosef. There's a lot of them. Look, these guys that have holes in them, it's from different dapim. There's a bunch that I took out, at least 5, 6 from other dapim that I didn't. You're not going to see them unless you go look for them. I mean, this is from a different sugya. This is from a sugya we learned a few days ago. It's more like 20. If there's 15 new ones, then there's at least 20. Eitan Ogerik, Manishma. It's great to see you, man. Great to see you. Thank you. It's unbelievable. Yisrael Goldstein, it's unbelievable the appreciation I have for the Chevra of New York, Eli Dykman, Mark Ashkenazi, Uncle Phil, all these guys. It goes endless. Shmuli Lemmer, I see him. It's unbelievable. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. You don't chap. It's 1 o'clock a.m. I can now appreciate it a lot more because I was with them going through it. But it's unbelievable. Kol hakavod. Seriously, unbelievable. It's heartwarming. What? Gedaliah's father? Shalom Aleichem, Gedaliah's father. I don't know if it's your father that's sick or it's your father-in-law, but he should have a refuah shlema. I didn't touch this area. This is a messed up area. I'm sorry, Rabbi Isai, sorry. What do you miss? I never said. What do you say?
The liquor cabinet. I said we really missed the liquor cabinet behind you.
Drink it. We have to drink a ton of vodka. $2,000 a bottle of vodka.
What's going on, Taka? The Olam knows it's looking good. I heard he got one very good Ohio or something.
It's looking
According to CNN right now,
you got Ohio because you have to switch it. That's right.
Why? They can't be any right.
Results too.
You can't be any right.
Ryan from CNN.
CNN.
Well, CNN says Biden is 215, Trump is 171.
That means nothing because he got California. Once he gets California is 55.
213 and 97.
Yeah.